So here is what's happening over at MSNBC. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm kidding about this? This is kind of stunning. Joy Reid is going to proudly and loudly get to the right of Republicans. You can't make this up. She's going to get to the right of the Republicans. So this guy says, when we talk about defunding the military, our enemies are listening. That's what she tweeted out. She tweeted out, when we talk about defunding the military, our enemies are listening. You know, we spend more. Okay. Do I have to tell you how much we spend? We spend $50 billion a year on the military. That's just what we know about. That doesn't count the CIA money and all the other stuff taking care of the veterans and stuff. That's more than the next 13 countries combined. It's unbelievable what's going on, right? We don't give people health care. We don't give people education. We don't give people a living wage. But we do spend more than the next 13 countries combined, meaning China, Russia, France. Combine all those countries. We spend more than them all combined. And Joyanne Reid and her panel think it's not enough. And they're considered lefties. Here we go. Watch this.
Representative Houlihan, I guess that I'll throw it to you. Are Democrats prepared to go out there and explain to voters that it's Republicans who now want to defund the military? They tried to use defund the police, which is, by the way, DOA as a thing, right? Look at New York City, where they just elected the most pro-cop person to be mayor, or at least they're close to it. That's not a thing. Defund the military is a thing. They're saying it on Fox.
Yeah, and I want to back all the way up because I hadn't seen those tweets that you referred to about the Viet Cong, and I'm literally nauseous. My father fought in Vietnam, my grandfather in Korea. The idea that we can be trolling and not understanding the consequences of this. One of the things that struck me about General Milley's testimony yesterday was a continued reminder that from him that not just the people in that room are listening to the things that we're saying, and not just the people who are watching Fox News or this show are listening. When we're talking about defunding the military, the very thing that allows us to be the people we are, say the things that we're saying, and to be the nation that we are, and the democracy that we are, other people are listening. Our enemies are listening.
Isn't it amazing how they equate imperialism and militarism with freedom of speech? Did that strike you, Ron?
There are so many things in this segment that strike me. I mean, I don't know where to begin, but yeah, they are outrighting Republicans, which you know how hard that is to do? Other countries' right-wing parties can't even come close to outrighting Republicans. And here's the lefty talk show.
The lefty talk show is upset that some people in the Republican Party want to cut the military budget. And they're saying that we're not going to be safe and that the military equals freedom of speech instead of what it actually equals, which is imperialism. We have nobody attacking us. Nobody. Is Mexico going to invade us? Is Canada going to invade us? Who's going to invade us? Nobody. The answer is nobody. So our military is mostly for imperialism. That's it. We spend more than the next 13 countries combined on imperialism, not on defense, but on imperialism.
So we have a system that pumps a ton of money into imperialism for the profits of an elite few, while all the people at home face a declining quality of life. There's a word for that, folks. It's called empire, and that's what we are.
That's exactly what we are. You're right. Here we go.
And I think.
And by the way, why is this happening on MSNBC? I got to go on Tucker Carlson. I have to go on Fox News to bring an anti-war message. Joyanne Reid will never invite me or Glenn Greenwald on or Aaron Mate or anybody who has an anti-war message. Ever. So if you have an anti-war message, you're not getting on MSNBC. Only pro-war people are allowed. So when people like to bad faith attack me for going on Tucker Carlson and advocating for Julian Assange and the end to war, what they don't realize is I would love to go on MSNBC. They won't invite me because they're very pro-war. They're disgusting murderers. That's what they are. So here we go.
What's remarkable about the Democratic Party right now is that we get it. We get it certainly much more than the Republican Party does right now.
Yeah.
And it's an important differentiation and distinction that we need to be making.
Representative Houlihan, I guess that I'll throw it.
So they're literally being proud that we get it. We have to fund our military. Do you see how the Democratic and Republican Party are flipping? Do you see how the Democratic Party is becoming the party of the white-collared elites in the suburbs who are pro-war, pro-Wall Street? And you see how the Republican Party is now appealing to working-class people? Even though they both serve the same people. The Republicans and Democrats serve the same people. But do you see how this realignment is happening? Do you see how the Democrats don't give a shit about working people or their votes? Did you notice that, Ron? That literally, that's what that is, right?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. I mean, I think when it comes to imperialism, you really don't have an anti-war option at all.
No.
I mean, you have a handful of people, on both sides. I mean, you have a handful of Republicans that are, kind of non-interventionists, that are more, libertarian-leaning, folks like Ron Paul and stuff like that. And then, you have people like a Dennis Kucinich or someone like that who is, anti-imperialism. But for the most part, you just have two very, very pro-war corporate parties because, their owners profit from these wars.
So, and why do you think Joy-Ann Reid and her guests are so pro-war and pro-military spending? Because they're funded by the military-industrial complex, ladies and gentlemen, and Wall Street, which is invested in the military-industrial complex. That's why. Why did the Young Turks go against Medicare for All? Because they got $24 million from right-wingers and DNC people. That's why. Why does Joy-Ann Reid say we need to spend more in the military? Because her paycheck comes from the military-industrial complex. This, by the way, this ad was brought to you by Raytheon. That's basically an ad for the military spending. That's what that is. We spend more on our military budget than the next 10. Code Pink says 10. All right, I'll go with 10. We spend more on our military budget than the next 10 countries combined.
Either way, it's a lot.
So it's unbelievable.
It's a lot.
The next 10 countries would be like China, Russia, France, Germany, India. What I mean, that's just 5 countries. We got 5 more coming, and we spend more than all of them combined. Well, here's another one. Oh no, anything but that. Here's the world military budgets. There's the United States. There's China. China's not even half. Saudi Arabia, not even a quarter. Russia, not even a quarter. United Kingdom, India, France, Japan, nothing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Our military budget is grotesque and makes us weaker by giving a bloated Pentagon free rein at the expense of our domestic needs. Wait, is MSNBC really considered left with dribble like this? Yes, it is, Jen. You continue, this is Magneto says, you continue to disgust me, Joy-Ann Reid. We can help our people and still have the mightiest military in the world. Fattening the pockets of a military-industrial complex only adds to more corruption and greed. Countless innocent lives die because of mainstream rhetoric at the behest of war criminals. Hashtag Joy Reid. Wow. Democrats equal Republicans equal imperialists. That's exactly true. And
that's a really good tweet.
That is a great, and let's remember this.
Very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
He wasn't messing around. He wasn't joking. He wasn't trying to fill time till the next commercial. That's a former general warning you that the military-industrial complex is going to take over your government. And they did. And they did. And there's Joyanne Reid cheering it on. That's a panel of people on MSNBC cheering it on. Do you think they'd put a Code Pink person on that panel, or Glenn Greenwald, or Aaron Mate, or some kind of anti-war activist on anybody that has a point? No, it's one big pro-war echo chamber over at the MSNBC and at CNN and at the Young Turks. It's one big echo chamber of pro-war imperialism. And that's what we're fighting against. And by the way, in case you didn't know it, the U.S. is not losing its democracy. It's already long gone. That's why we spend so much money on bombs that nobody wants, because our government has been captured by corporations. And the politicians inside the Democratic Party who don't take corporate money go along with the ones who do. So there's no point in ever voting for a Democrat ever again. Bron, you want to add anything to this?
Well, yeah, the one other thing I wanted to mention in regards to that segment was when she kind of dismissed defunding the police, Joyanne Reid did. There is a very concentrated effort that the corporate media makes, and this has been going on for many decades, where they try to trivialize movements. And in reality, there's a lot of people who wanted to fund the police in cities all across the country because they're realizing that over half of their city's budget is going to police.
That's right.
Who are then committing war crimes against their own citizens,
yes,
their fellow citizens. So Joyanne Reid is really being a good guard dog for the establishment there, because she is trying to trivialize and marginalize that movement by saying, oh, yeah, that's not even a thing anymore. No one feels that way. Now, tons of people do all across the country, as they should.
You know, I missed that part. Like, you don't mind if I play that again? Because I did miss that part.
It's
Representative Houlihan, I guess that I'll throw it to you. Are Democrats prepared to go out there and explain to voters that it's Republicans who now want to defund the military? They tried to use defund the police, which is, by the way, DOA as a thing, right? Look at New York City, where they just elected the most pro-cop person to be mayor, or at least they're close to it. That's not a thing.
I mean, it was subtle, man, but that's what they do. I mean, they've been doing that, and it really got heavily amplified during Vietnam. During the Vietnam War, that was when that really started, because they tried to really trivialize that anti-war movement, and they've been doing the same thing ever since. They did it during Occupy. They did it during DAPL. They're doing it for defund the police. They did it for Black Lives Matter. They'll continue to do it. That's something that the corporate media does over and over again. And once you kind of read into that formula, because a media theorist named Todd Gitlin laid it all out, you'll notice it every single time forever.
Okay. There it is. MSNBC, pro-war all the time. They won't invite me on to give my anti-war message, but I'll go on anywhere that invites me to give my anti-war, pro-peace message. And right now, the only mainstream news organization that's doing that is Fox News via Tucker Carlson. So I'll take it. And shame on everyone at MSNBC and CNN for doing nothing but pro-war panels. Shame on you for not inviting people like me on your shows. And shame on the people who watch those shows and wag their finger at Tucker Carlson. Shame on you. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.